Hey folks, Matt Sharp here with another Pacific Angler Friday Fishing Report. We're filming for May 22nd, so if it's nowhere near May 22nd, click up here. This is a link to all our Friday Fishing Reports. We do it every week, so we've probably got something more up to date for you. This week we have big news. It may not be directly fishing related news, but it is fishing industry news, and that is the Pacific Angler is open to the public again. We couldn't be more excited, and we wanted to thank everyone that supported us through this time with the curbside pickups, with the phone orders that allowed us to be here today to have the store open. Now we are taking all the appropriate social distancing measures as well as sanitization measures. We may have to have you in a line out front, but we've got one of our staff out there with you with coffee and water ready to go, as well as he can talk you through what you're going to be shopping for so you can maximize your shopping time when you do make it into the store. So come on down, we'd love to see you guys, and again, thanks for all the support through the troubling times when the doors couldn't be open. But you guys are here for the fishing news, so what do we got for you this week? Well, there's a verbiage change in some of the recommendations when it comes to boating. I'm going to talk about that, but they're no longer saying that they recommend only going boating with your immediate family. Now that's great news. Obviously, there's still social responsibility there. I think we all have to be darn smart about how we go forward on this, but at least that opens the opportunity for you maybe to go out with a friend in the boat and not feel guilty about that. With that in mind, Jason was out with some friends this week. Now, funnily enough, they are from his house. They are his neighbors who live downstairs, so technically it's the same household, but they had wonderful fishing across the strait at Thrasher Rock. I got some really cool footage of big fish that took long runs, and again the fishing was fabulous on spoons, on plugs, on some really interesting stuff. I got reports from some other areas as well that may not have been as good as across the strait at Thrasher, but there was still excellent fishing to be had. We're going to touch base on that in the saltwater section. Also, on the Capilano front, we've got an update there. It opened last week. If you guys want to learn more about that, check out last week's report. I've got a basic overview. But this week, Alex has an update in the written version of the report, so make sure you check that out in the links down below on our blog. On the interior front, I talked to Brian this week and we've got a really good update from him. He went over a really good general overview of what's happening up there. He feels that the season is a little bit behind. It's been a little bit cold. I'm going to talk you through what he told me in the lake section of the report, and our boat is finished. Now, it hasn't gone on its maiden voyage, so I'm not going to show you all the fun stuff that we've done to her, but Jay is taking her out this weekend for the first trip, hopefully to work the kinks out of the system of what we did with the boat and as well as hook a bunch of fish. So stay tuned for more updates on that front. We'll talk about more about that in the lake section. Guys, as always, you want to see more reports like this, consider hitting that subscribe button. Let's get into her. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in this week. Again, we are super excited to have the store open. For all you guys that are considering coming down, we've done a lot of work to make sure that our physical distancing is correct, our sanitization methods and cleaning methods are correct. We've got a big list of them here posted up in front of us. But come on down, visit us. We miss you guys. And again, thanks to everyone that supported us through the tough times of phone orders and curbside pickup. It allows us to be here with you. So come on down, hang out if you guys aren't getting out fishing this weekend. We've got a concierge at the front door to walk you through some fishing stuff if you are stuck in a line, if we do have to keep you outside just for the number of bodies in the store. We got a coffee machine as well as water out there for you, so take advantage of that. And he's gonna walk you through what you might be looking for so you can maximize your shopping time when you get into the store. You guys aren't here for that. I know you're here for the fishing information, so let's jump right into it and let's start off with the weather. It doesn't look like it's gonna be a beautiful weekend. Not a bad weekend, but just not a beautiful weekend. So when we pull up the Vancouver weather here, we're looking at like 15 right across the board with some sun and cloud on Saturday and a little bit of rain on Sunday. Now, that's not bad. I'd like to see those temperatures warmer this time of year. But that said, it's still going to be worth getting out there. Jordan and Zach were out lake fishing as I'm doing this. It's Wednesday night. And so we're going to have a local lake fishing update for you in the written version of the report. And then the Capilano opened last week. And as I said, we have an update on that, an overview of that fishery in last week's report. So click up here, hit that if you want to see that report. but it's definitely worth looking at. And Alex is going to have an update in the written version as well on that front that you might want to check out if you're considering going that way. Now, the bigger news is obviously there have been some slight tweaks in what they're considering responsible when it comes to getting outside and going around. And so a lot more people are heading up to the Kamloops region, and though we're still saying do it with the maximum amount of responsibility and safety that you can, I think it's pretty reasonable to do right now if you can do it right. With that in mind, they've also changed verbiage in one of the recommendations when it came to boating for the saltwater guys. They used to say that they recommended only doing it in your immediate family. Now they took that sentence out. I'm going to leave links to the official version of that in the description below, as well as in the blog version of the report. But that opens up a realm. Again, I still stress that everyone do it smart, do it right. Let's make sure that this thing is going in the right direction, not going in the wrong direction. So on the Kamloops front, weather-wise, it's going to be a little bit unsettled this weekend. I do expect there to be good fishing, but you might have to pick your battles. When we're looking at Friday, it's 14 degrees and rainy, which is relatively cold for this time of year. Saturday looks really nice, and we're hoping that that's going to be some good fishing. And Sunday rolls in to be cooler again. So expect intermittent hatches. Now, I talked to Brian this week, and he sent me a really good overview, and I'm going to share that with you guys right now. It was in email format, and I'm just going to read it verbatim because when the man speaks, you want to listen. But he says that the southern interior stillwater season is definitely off and running a little bit behind due to weather and slightly later than average ice off timing. Chronomid hatches are well underway on many lakes, but he still thinks that they're a little bit behind, maybe a week or two on the average of a normal year. Lower elevation grassland lakes that came off the earliest are just starting to see some Calabatus mayfly emerges, and even some damselfly pre-emergence swimming activity. So that's when they're out moving around thinking about hatching. High lake levels and unseasonably high inlet creek runoff has seen some lakes slightly dirtier than normal, but that seems to be a day-by-day event. So keep that in mind. You get to a lake that looks dirty, you might consider moving to a lake that doesn't have as many inflow creeks to it. Some of the higher elevation lakes have iced off in the past 8 to 10 days, are getting close to turnover. So again, what's turnover? Well, that's when, because of oxygen levels and heat, the lake flips upside down and we see very, very dirty water, and it's hard to fish. So keep that in mind. Again, if you go to a lake, it looks like scum, murky scum, all you need to do is move to another lake. It's very likely that within a 10-15 minute drive, you might find a lake that isn't in that turnover situation and can totally save a lake trip if you're heading up right now. Right now, Layton Lake, which sits in Tonquah Provincial Park, is not open to angling, and the boat launch is not accessible. At Tonquah, the only boat launch open to day use sites is the southeast side of the lake. The main boat launch at the provincial park is not yet open, but he would assume that June 1 these sites will become accessible. That's an assumption, but pretty solid assumption. Anglers should be prepared with leeches, scuds, backing up to chronomid emergence patterns. Some days the bugs just don't come off this time of year, and that has to do with cooler weather, so keep that in mind. Finally, boat launch sites can be very busy. Anglers need to have patience so that we can keep social distancing. Again, guys, do this smart. The smarter we do this, the more we beat this thing down, the more opportunities we're going to have. So get out there and enjoy it. Do it in a smart way, and send in the reports. If you guys are getting reports this weekend, please send them in. And then on our boat front, like I said, Jay is taking her out for the maiden voyage. I've got a little bit of footage here of us putting her all together. I'm gonna have a lot more on what we did, why we did it. We just want to get the boat out on the water and see if what we did is actually going to work, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. I hope to have more lake reports for you soon. And then in the next 5 days, we're going to see what's in our lake box. I've got my big lake box down here, the mothership, and I'm going to walk you guys through what I would consider the top 10 go-to patterns. So make sure you're subscribed for that. We're going to have that boat update soon, as well as that lake box update soon. We're probably going to be giving away a free box in that one, so make sure you stay tuned. Now, on the saltwater front, Jason is making us all look bad. He had another excellent weekend out. He took some friends out, but again, like I said, they were literally friends from his household. They're his neighbors that live downstairs. So they went out to Thrasher, they went across and mucked around in that general area, and the fishing was phenomenal. We've got footage here of one huge fish belting off line during a double header. They actually had to chase this fish, one of the best of the season so far for Jason, as well as a bunch more. This was a double, triple header scenario. They were playing around with hoochies. That was the most productive thing, but they actually downgraded that to spoons, did really well on those as well, and then switched to the plugs, which are always going to catch less fish when you're fishing plugs, but they're a little bit more fun because they're not in line with a flasher, and the fish seem to bite a little bit harder and pull a little bit harder when you're fishing them. But again, an excellent report from there. I heard reports from Polier Pass which weren't maybe as good, but with the fish we saw up at Thrasher and up a little bit farther north, those fish could be pushing down this weekend, so I still think it's a great bet anywhere across on that side. Our reports for south of Bowen weren't as good, but they were still solid. Guys were going out, getting a fish to 5 fish in an outing, so that's definitely worth getting out for. Things are still catch and release, and we are working on that front, but as it stands, we still have to release those. And a side note, most of those fish that were hooked were hatchery again, so an interesting tidbit there, and we're hoping that the government and the decision makers are listening on that front, and we'll see some kind of an opening sooner than later. I'll have more updates the second that comes down the pipes. Well guys, that's short and sweet this week. Get out there and enjoy it. Come down to the store and visit us if you aren't getting out. And as always, you want to see more reports like this, consider hitting the subscribe button, hit that like button. We'll catch you next week.